My brother has convinced my mom that I am trying to steal his wife. This story came June 25th, 2025. I was at my mom's house for dinner, and me, my older siblings, and my sister-in-law were in the living room talking while my mom got dinner ready. My relationship with my siblings is pretty bad due to some background family issues and the fact that we just don't have personalities that mesh, but we're able to stay mostly civil for my mother. My sister is one of those hyper-religious people that doesn't believe in Western medicine and wants everything natural. My sister-in-law recently got out of the hospital after being there for an extensive period of time following a really messy labor. From what I know, she went into labor prematurely and had to get an emergency C-section, as her and the baby's lives were at risk. It was a tough period of time for her and my brother. We were talking about how they have been progressing since they got out, and my sister-in-law shared how hard it's been having to bounce back from that traumatic experience to take care of her son. My sister turned to my brother and said, "Had to take the easier route and she still complains," and then laughed. What I'm gonna say is not nice, so I'm not gonna say it at all. What an insane comment. My sister-in-law asked what she meant. My sister proceeded to go on a tirade about how she kept trying to help her throughout her pregnancy, and she didn't listen. And that is why things turned out the way they did, and that she took the shortcut and has the audacity to complain. My sister-in-law tried to explain that the doctors told her what would be best for her during her pregnancy because of issues that she was already having, and that her delivery was the best course of action. My sister would not let up and was gradually getting more insulting, ignoring me, telling her to knock it off. My sister-in-law ended up crying and I was pissed. I turned to my sister-in-law and I said, "So are you gonna take the advice of trained medical professionals or one dumb bitch who couldn't get through high school?" My sister lost her mind and started yelling at me, to which I just repeated, "Get a job," over and over again, which made her angrier till she was crying and hurling insults at me. My brother and sister-in-law ended up leaving, and my mom came and intervened, telling my sister to calm down and for me to leave. Since then, I had a heated phone call with my brother because he believes that I should have just kept my mouth shut and let women handle their business. My dad, my parents are divorced, left me multiple texts grilling me and calling me a disgrace and whatnot because my sister went crying to him. And my mom texted me saying that she thinks my sister was a bit harsh, but that I was way out of line and I need to apologize to her. My sister-in-law texted me and said that she's sorry she caused this situation and that she appreciates me speaking up because I didn't have to, and that is what's making me feel awful. I am in a bad state with my family. I always have been, and I'm fine with that, but I don't want to put her in a bad position with them too when she's done nothing wrong. So am I the a-hole for insulting my sister after she insulted my sister-in-law? Okay. I'm like, where does the title come in? But now it's just showing. I'm not surprised of the title of this video based on the arguments that are already happening. We have an update, which was 1 day later, and it says, "A phone call apparently wasn't enough for my brother, blocked out my sister and sister-in-law's names. I know I'm not being the most mature person, but at this point, it's hard to care." And we have screenshots of text messages that came in from his brother. All right, so the brother reached out and started with, "Sister has been trying to help us throughout our entire pregnancy and has been there for us when you were nowhere to be seen. So don't act like you're some good guy. She stuck by us even when sister-in-law was being horrible to her, which, by the way, she apologized for, something you're probably not familiar with. We all know how sister is, including sister-in-law. She was just emotional that night, and so it got to her, but she could handle it. She is a grown woman. Instead of just letting them have their conversation, you have to butt in so you can antagonize sister like you always do. You just can't stand that she actually helps the family, unlike you who just brings us down." Isn't it kind of ironic though that you're like, you should have just let it be between them, but you're not doing that? You're getting involved now with me. Like, isn't that kind of like hypocritical? Like, you should have just let it be between them. Well, then just let it be between me and my sister. Like, why are you getting involved? Anyways, OOP responded in the text message, antagonized sister? Give me an effing break. The effing clown flies off the handle every chance she gets when someone disagrees with her. You let a woman who thinks pouring coffee up your ass will detox your body dictate your wife's pregnancy when your wife literally tells you she doesn't like that. Does that not worry you? Like, do you agree with her, or are you too much of an effing pansy to tell her to F off? What kind of chicken husband lets her sister bully his own wife? Also, funny how you're complaining about me not being around to help y'all when you word for word said to me, I don't want your disgusting homosexual stuff infecting my kid. I censored that, okay? Just so you know. Hell, I thought I was just honoring your wishes. Brother responded, you're acting like sister is a nutcase when she just has differing viewpoints from you. You are such an effing child, you can't stand that people think differently from you. You've become a psycho lib and want to push that onto everyone else. What is this argument even about at this point though? You know? OOP wrote back saying, pointing out factual medical science as being a psycho lib. Holy, you are going to get that kid. Your wife has enough sense to try to keep herself and your son, who you should be protecting, safe with what doctors recommend instead of just listening to what psycho babble about letting toxins into her body. How about we just do what we want with our bodies? Simple as that. Like, why is it about what did your wife want to do? And the doctors recommend. Like, ultimately, it's what she wanted to do with her body. The brother wrote back saying, this is all you do is try to tear down the family instead of helping us because you want to act like you're better than us. Poor little baby, someone was mean to him once, so now he has to ruin everything for the rest of us. If mom wasn't trying so hard to keep you around, no one would want anything to do with you. We can talk when you apologize to sister and sister-in-law for getting into their business and being an a-hole, trying to make me seem like I don't take care of my wife when you sit there and make your sister cry. F off. OOP responded, trust. If mom wasn't trying so hard to keep us all together, I would love to be done with the rest of you. That's all you know how to do is be dad or sister's little effing purse dog and do what they say. Only thing is you roped in this poor lady and kid to suffer because you can't think for yourself. Hope she wises up before you F up that kid. So sensitive to that woman child throwing a tantrum, but not to your wife being chastised. It's ridiculous. That was a lot. That was aggressive. That was a lot of low blows. Now we're just taking low blows at each other and we're not even talking about what just happened. Anyways, siblings, if you have them, you might relate. There has been some fights with me and my siblings in the past when we were much younger where we went low. We did. When we were trying to hurt their feelings, we knew exactly how to do that. Luckily, we all love each other now. All right, so the next update came September 4th, 2025, which was months later because this story started in June. Looking for any kind of advice on what I can do or if I should just completely cut my losses with my crap show of a family. My brother, 32 male, has successfully convinced my family that I, 24 male, am in love with my sister-in-law, who is 24 female, and that I am trying to manipulate her against him so that I can steal her away. My brother and sister-in-law have been married for 4 years. This apparently all came about because a couple months ago, her and my sister had that big blow up about my sister-in-law's pregnancy, and I defended my sister-in-law against my sister's big tirade. Following that night, I received a lot of scrutiny from my family, particularly my brother, for interfering with women's business, and I said some not so nice things to him. My sister-in-law also reached out to me and apologized to me for causing the situation, and I let her know she had nothing to apologize for and that I'm here to help both her and my nephew. We ended up having a pretty in-depth conversation about how my sister had treated her in the past. Apparently, my sister moved in with her and my brother for a brief period to help with my sister-in-law's first pregnancy and was really overbearing and constantly ridiculing her choices for the sake of the baby. My sister-in-law unfortunately suffered from what sounded like an ectopic pregnancy and had to have an emergency surgery to have the fetus removed. And my sister and my brother apparently think that's the same thing as aborting a baby, and she was blamed for the loss of the child, and from how she spoke, she also saw this as a failure on her part. Whoa. So this runs much deeper then. This whole thing wasn't about just some silly little fight. There's a lot more to the story. It pissed me off, and I did my best to explain to her the medical reasonings of why what happened was necessary and not her fault, and that my brother and sister are just kind of stupid. She shouldn't feel bad for doing something necessary to save her life, especially because the fetus wasn't even viable. That was the last time she spoke, and I just let her know that I would be there if she needed anything. I guess either she told my brother or he found out from her messages about the conversation and he took it as me flirting with his wife. I'll give him the fact that I did call him stupid in the messages, but come on. Thinking an emergency procedure for a life-threatening situation was your wife willfully terminating her pregnancy and then making her feel bad about it is stupid. Sorry. He told the rest of the family about how I'm envious and trying to take his wife, which they all believed, and they are now mad at me. This wouldn't be as big of a deal to me if my mom, 53 female, wasn't also included in that. My mom is the only one in the family I have a good relationship with, but apparently she believes my brother and has called me to scold me about betraying my brother and being shameless along with my other family members. This is all frustrating, but here's the absolute worst part about this. The reason I'm estranged from my family is because I am gay. It is like the thing that messed our family up. I've been seeing another man openly for the past 3 years. My brother has also been open about not wanting me around his family because of my, quote, unnatural lifestyle. All that just to easily believe that I'm in love with a woman? I guess the reason I come here is so that I can understand how this would be believable. I understand my dad and my sister believing this easily. They hate me and probably just want another reason to feel justified in rallying against me, but I can't really comprehend my mother believing it, but maybe I gave her too much credit. At the end of the day, I'm very much the outlier of my family on all fronts. I also wonder if maybe my sister-in-law took what I was saying as me taking an interest in her. Maybe I made her uncomfortable, but the most I did was just explain medical things to her so she wouldn't feel bad about her first pregnancy. I don't know, I feel like I've been taking crazy pills. I've always been at peace with not having my family, especially because my family is full of nut jobs. But I think potentially having to accept my mom is also that way is making me second guess myself. I also don't like the idea that I made my sister-in-law uncomfortable. Is my relationship with my mom salvageable, and can I get her to see that my brother is a mental case? I mean, I don't have an answer for that. I don't. Luckily, we got updates, so we don't have to answer this if we don't want to. Before the next update, we gotta hydrate. It's Hydration Station. Drink your water. Cheers. I don't make the rules. Our bodies need it. It's annoying, I know. Ooh. Water hits though sometimes, you know? Burn update. Scabbing slowly but surely, and then flaking off and scabbing some more. Real cute. I just want to show you another example of how I'm 5 years old. My keyboard, Matt bought this for me, so it's his fault. My keyboard came with these little like stickers that you can like put on some of your letters and stuff. Look how freaking cute. So random, like an egg. Why is there an egg? I don't know, but it's adorable. Can you guess the lettering that I put them on? Can you figure out the pattern of why I chose these? Matt couldn't figure it out, but I'm gonna tell you. It's Joss and the exclamation mark. Cause I'm selfish. All right, the next update was October 8th, 2025. Now we have jumped from September to October. We're getting into real time over here. I've had a lot of people guess about me and my family's background, and without getting too specific, I'll just let you know I grew up in a very small, fundamentalist Christian town in western Tennessee. My family is full of devout, ye olde ways, evangelical Christian nationalists, so it's not a surprise that they're not too psyched that they ended up having a gay progressive atheist who studies medicine.
Sounds gay. I'm in.
I was never going to be able to fit back in with them once I came out and deconstructed from Christianity. And I think my clinging to my relationship with my mom was just wishful thinking because I thought she wasn't as awful as the rest of them. Let's get on to the real meat and potatoes though. Things were quiet for a while after that and there was nothing I could do. I cut my losses, blocked them, and just kept on trucking with my life. Last week though, as I was leaving class, who do I see waiting for me but my mother? For reference, I live about an hour and a half away from the rest of my family. At first, I just kept on walking because I didn't really want to deal with that stuff, but she stopped me and asked if we could talk. She didn't really look mad or anything, she just looked really worn out and sad. While I honestly wasn't feeling particularly sympathetic, I was curious, so I agreed. She asked if we could go back to my apartment. I said hell no, and I took her to the park to sit. She tried to open with small talk, but I just told her to go on and get on with it. So apparently she came to let me know that my sister-in-law and nephew have gone missing. My brother is distraught over it and they think I had something to do with it. What is going on? This story is just getting crazier and crazier. Now, mind you, the last time I spoke to her was the night we had the conversation about her ectopic pregnancy. She didn't reach out to me ever again after that and randomly blocked me. Naturally, I'm ready to just get up and leave. You people cannot be serious, but my mom is pleading to me that if I know where she is, I have to let her know because they're worried about my brother. Not her, not the wife, my brother. They're worried only about my brother. You might be wondering why I put gone missing in quotations. Well, that's because of what my mother described as the lead up to her disappearance. Apparently, my sister-in-law's older brother came to visit her and my brother without warning. My sister-in-law actually hadn't had contact with him per my brother's request because the last time they saw each other was when my sister-in-law and brother got engaged, which was roughly 4 years ago. They ended up in an altercation and the dude beat the absolute shite out of my brother. I did know about this as my mom was in shambles for an entire week about it and the entire family was mad at my sister-in-law for letting it happen. There's a common theme here. The point is, this dude hates my brother and vice versa, so he wasn't happy about it when they kept it civil. On the third day of his visit, my brother came back from work to an empty house. Sister-in-law, her brother, and the baby were nowhere to be found. Sister-in-law's brother's car was gone. My brother didn't think anything of it at first. All of my sister-in-law's belongings were still there, including her phone, so he just assumed that they went out to lunch or whatever, but after a couple hours, there was still no sign of them. Another thing important to note, the guy apparently didn't bring anything with him when he came to stay with them. Just him and his car. My brother ended up calling the police and filing a missing persons report the next day, and that's where they are at right now. Though, from what my mom is telling me, the police are being weirdly lax about it. Hearing all of that, I feel like it's pretty natural to assume that she flew the coop, kid in hand, with the assistance of her brother. My mom, however, is adamant that something happened to her and that she's being influenced, and no matter how hard I tried to make her see the clues that sister-in-law probably left on her own accord, she just wouldn't accept it. She was crying about how my brother is so humiliated and crushed about it, and that I have some responsibility over my sister-in-law's disappearance and my brother's current state. Insane. At this point, this woman has devolved into borderline scream crying about how I ruined my family's life and reputation, while I just sit here nodding along and going, yep, Honestly, the pathetic sight of my mother babbling about how I'm to blame for my family's shortcomings actually helped me get rid of the last bit of affection I had towards her. So silver lining, I guess. The little psychotic break my mother was having was, call me insensitive, going on far too long, and I really had more important things to do. I just said, okay, good luck with that. And I gave her a hearty pat on the shoulder and I walked back to campus while she sat there crying. I know, not the nicest thing to do, but there is literally nothing else I can do for these people. And honestly, I kind of just don't even really have the capacity to feel bad for her anymore. It just kind of is what it is. My mom hasn't come back to my campus ever since then, and none of them know where I live, so it's whatever. However, I started getting a bunch of messages from a random number over the weekend following the interaction with my mother. This number I very easily recognized was our original foe, my lunatic sister, angrier and just as unemployed as ever. She basically parroted the same sentiment my mother gave, but in a much harsher and unfortunately funnier way, calling me a big okay, there's a lot of things in here that I can't say on the internet, and I shouldn't say in real life ever. We're just gonna Control-Alt-Delete that from the story. I muted her, but I didn't block it because the angry ramblings of my mentally deranged woman in her mid-30s can be pretty entertaining. Anyways, maybe the cops will eventually ask me questions about my sister-in-law, but I got just about as much of a clue as the rest of them. Wherever she is, I hope both she and my nephew are safe. Glad someone was able to get her the hell out of this nightmare of a family, and maybe it'll be a better beginning for her. I have no idea how that will work with custody arrangements though. I have no idea where or how this story ends, and I don't need to guess because we have a final update, and it came October 26th. We are all caught up here, baby. Let's put this thing in park, shall we? Let's see what the hell happens, because this is wild. I was also really curious about where my sister-in-law had gone, but I didn't have any plans on contacting her. Not that I could anyways. I can't really imagine that she'd want anything to do with anyone that has my last name anymore, so I just relied on trying to find some vague lead. Some issues were that she didn't have any social media, and I don't know a ton about her. I've said it before, I didn't actually interact with her all that much, aside from the occasional conversation when she would come over for the dinners that my mom hosted, so most of what I knew was rather surface level. I decided to make a Facebook and comb through my brother's account. Just to reiterate, my sister-in-law doesn't have social media that I know of, and nothing on my brother's account linked to her. However, he had a post celebrating the birth of their child, and I used the comments of that to potentially find a lead. After combing through each congratulation and the profile accompanying it, I found one from a woman wishing my sister-in-law a speedy recovery and saying that she misses her. The woman's profile said she lives in Cape Town, South Africa. My sister-in-law originally comes from South Africa before she came to live with her father in Tennessee. I don't know when. After digging through her profile a bit, I ended up finding a post with a group photo that had my sister-in-law's brother in it. Now, I didn't actually know what he looked like, but I knew his name and he was tagged in the post. I click on his account and lo and behold, the first post I find is one he made a couple of days ago. It's a picture of him sitting at a dining room table with some people, and next to him is my sister-in-law with my nephew being held by a woman next to her who I think is their mother. Well, look at that for detective skills. So I'm almost positive she is not in the US anymore. I don't know how that's going to work out legally with my brother, custody and divorce, but I'm happy she seems to be in a much better environment. As for my family, other than my sister's ramblings and that one blow up my mom had on campus, I didn't really know what was going on with any of them. Now that I have Facebook though, I thought it wouldn't hurt to look. My brother's posts mostly consist of religious stuff and being a family man, though he hasn't posted anything in a couple of months. And my sister just reposts snake oil healing videos and videos about how the devil is in the United States, making people evil through K-pop or whatever rants people on Facebook get to. My mother is the one who has made a post talking about how she hates seeing her boy in so much pain and that karma will get my sister-in-law, and that she is sad to see my brother go down the same path she did, trying to protect her family, only for them to turn around and betray her, which was a threat to read. But that's where it is now, and probably where it will end. If there's legal things going on, I'm not going to know about it. I'm not going to contact my sister-in-law or her brother. I don't see the benefit in it for anyone unless they ask me for something, testimony or whatever. I deleted Facebook because I don't want it, and I don't plan on keeping up with my family at all. Their numbers are all blocked. We have no contact unless one of them comes to my school to yell at me, which I doubt they will do. I think they're done with me too. They can blame me for everything without being present anyways. Having taken it in stride for a long time, years even, but the other night after I finished all my Facebook stalking of my mom's page, I kind of just sat there and looked at my ceiling feeling something. I don't know what. Feeling like something was crushing my ribs. I'm sure it's something, but I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I don't have time to think about it. Well, that was more than just a sibling fight. Let me tell ya, I'm kind of at a loss for words. There's really no advice I can give here. This is above my means, that's for sure. Let me know your thoughts on this story. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.